Alright.
Fuck, what did I want to
Dude, you must have lied. You want to put on the beat? Alright, let's go. Come on.
do they know that you're going to call them also? Later?
Yeah. Ooh.
Man, he's in the car.
Hey.
What? I'm gonna come for your hat.
Um.
I see that big hat. Is it on a big person? No. I told you, I don't like the way that it goes. It's on the wrong way. You should just fix it. But then fixing things, you're not really with it. I said I like the way that the shoes are all white. I don't know how that has to do it all right. We're gonna move on and pass it the bars. I said I'm gonna pass it to Rambo in the car.
Pass the Rambo in the car. You gotta pass the mic. I'm drinking on purple Sprite. I'm not. I'm super fly. He super fly. Him, her, him too. Ooh. Damn. This what we do. She said, Rambo, you know that you the truth. I said, baby, what about the crew? She said, come over and do what it do. So now,
do what it do. That's what she said. I told her she about to just end up straight in my bed. We already know what she about to do. She may be bled, but that was what was said. I said there ain't no way that she was dead. Them legs were dead when I did what I did dead. That didn't make no sense. My niggas is so dead.
Okay.
Y'all are funny.
I like to think so.
Said I made the beat, but now I'm going a cappella with the beat because I cannot do those at the same time. I'm not that great. I don't know.
It always starts off good. He said, pass. Take away. Yep.
I was tuned in.
It was great, yeah. You said
Gotta promote your stuff.
him, her,
for sure,
and you could have said, and I, and you didn't, and I was so disappointed.
Said, finally, you done? I'm joking. I'm joking. What happened?
Because you were like, him,
all right,
him,
promote your stuff, my boy. Who are you?
Me. And I was like, say I.
We're doing with the Straight Water podcast in general.
You want?
What's up, everybody? It's the Straight Water podcast.
We're not started that.
What?
This is why he makes the small butts.
I thought I had it for a minute. My bad.
No.
Bro, Shrek is wild.
This
okay.
is
the pre-one?
Pre-intro.
Yeah.
This is the
we got 30 seconds to the word.
I almost said pre-com.
We're just talking shit.
What is it called? The pre-workout. I was really
So we pre-gaming the intro right now.
I was really strong.
Said words are hard. We know you getting ready to talk about your topic. You just stay here with it.
I'm good now. But that was a struggle for sure.
Hi, everybody.
Y'all just
Hi.
no, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Hey, so we was talking in the car the other day or whatever. Let's just get this little thing started. We was talking in the car the other day, and we asked our boy Rambo here to pronounce some words, and we realized that homeboy has the heaviest Southern accent apparently when it comes to certain words. So right now we're gonna ask you some words, my boy, and we gonna see if this
you
is
can
accurate.
pronounce them.
We're gonna see if you can actually pronounce these words. We're gonna start.
We're going to test Joshua, too.
We're going to test.
Yeah, we'll give him the word to say and him the word to spell.
We're going to test.
I bet, yeah. How you say this?
Firefly.
All right.
Firefly.
Okay.
He been practicing since last week. What's this?
Lawyer.
Lawyer, doctor, sir.
I know you're going to say this.
Oil.
Oil.
Caramel. I used to say caramel. I used to say caramel.
I heard it.
I still say caramel.
Ew.
Crawfish.
Why it take you so long to read it?
I know you ain't talking.
I'm hungry.
I know. Let's see.
It says crawfish, says caramel.
We're going to get to the big one in a second.
Mayonnaise.
The big one.
How you say it?
Mayonnaise.
That's Colorado ass nigga.
Mayonnaise. What's that?
Root.
Okay.
Dang rude.
Crayon.
Crayon. You pronounce. I say crayon.
Crayon.
You said what?
Crayon.
So we should be testing
I think
you
we should
then.
do it. How you say it?
Crayon?
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 I said
Crayon?
crayon.
Yeah, crayon, right.
Crayon, crayon.
Crayon.
Yeah, no.
This one?
Syrup.
Syrup?
Syrup.
Syrup?
Syrup.
I say
You don't say
syrup.
syrup.
I say syrup.
Syrup.
I say syrup.
It depends.
Some maple syrup.
Do you pronounce your T's like say often?
Often? You didn't pronounce it right. You said often. Often.
I know. I'm from Colorado. I don't
the
pronounce my
soft T's.
T's.
Often.
Nah, often.
And then the last one, the big one.
No. What is this color?
Silver.
Okay.
How you say, okay, so like, my chains are what? My chains and earrings are what?
Jewelry.
Jewelry? Yeah. I say
No,
jewelry.
but what's the big one? The world is.
Yeah, the word is a what?
The world is. No, I want to.
What shape is the
I want to
globe?
hear the CAL version. Spherical.
Did you say what shape?
Spherical.
Say louder.
Okay, spherical.
Spherical?
Spherical.
You can't.
Bro, you're not supposed to say sphere.
Sphere.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's not like I'm trying to say S, like putting like trying to say fear, but putting the S in
So
front.
then
of
when
it.
you say
That's what it is.
It is.
Spherical.
Can you say sphinx?
Huh?
Sphinx.
Sphinx.
You know, they say sphinx.
Sphinx.
Say
Sphinx.
sphinx. Why you say it like a? They say it like a nerd. They say sphinx.
Sphinx.
All right, and spear.
It's sphere.
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 All right, wait.
Sphere.
There we go. I got a word just to see if you can pronounce
Say
it.
it one word. All right. For me,
He said,
bro, what is this?
Well, let me show you the camera real quick.
Can you say
It's a little dark.
Why'd you do two words?
Super
Oh, never mind.
califragilistic.
I'll just spell it out. All right. PUNSSUTAWNEY.
Punks to win. Punks to win.
Punch the wanning.
Punks
Punxsutawney?
Punch.
Punxsutawney?
That
See, if y'all
sounds
can't even pronounce it, well, I gotta pronounce it. Yeah, here we go. So we're gonna start off this episode.
Wait.
Nah, it's
Can you say
Punxsutawney.
supercalifragilisticexpialidocious?
It's the
You can't even say it.
Because you're
Supercalifragilistic. It's I don't know how to say
What?
that. Say it again.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Supercalifragilistic. I don't know.
Alright, y'all. Welcome to the new episode of Straight Water. We're gonna introduce ourselves right quick. I am Jay 3 times.
I'm ATD or Antonio the Don.
It's your boy, the King of Day.
And he's stealing my intro. It's Jada P.
It's Rambo.
And what's up? And we back with it. We got a very interesting episode for y'all. Jada has been talking about this all week, so we're gonna let her just take the stage on it. What's up?
Y'all, okay, this didn't come from me though. ATD brought this up in our office space at school, and I was like, was this like a year ago? This was.
I bring it up pretty often. But
I
think when we
every
really
chance
talked
you
about
Yeah,
it.
we were sitting in the big group, and I think that was the first time you ever like talked about something. Because then we also talked about Marvel, and so this was probably the first year when I met y'all.
Those are rough years. Those are rough introductions.
So we'll get into that later.
She
I
walked
don't
in
even
thinking,
remember
man.
meeting y'all. Like I don't.
That's the
remember
problem,
meeting
because I
anyone.
remember the pain that each and every one of you I'm joking.
Each and
That's
every.
cap. Not on the first meeting. Anyways. Anyways, so ATD brought this up, and I was like, "Damn, you right." And then, so I'm 21, and in Colorado, it is legal for 21-year-olds to smoke weed, and so
Just gotta put that out
Yeah,
there.
but
yeah,
that-
gotta put that out there. I don't smoke that often though, but I do take edibles every once in a while. So recently, I was watching Shrek, and I was thinking of what ATD brought up, and I was like, "Damn, you right." So first question, just a little conversation starter: did Shrek walk so Zootopia could run? Because in Zootopia, there's a lot of similarities. No, it's similar because they talk about like the.
I forgot you knew sign language. I was like, those are different.
I know.
Yeah,
They're
sorry, yeah.
very same. But in Zootopia, they like talk about police officers. They talk about the jaguar and like black people and being animals and stuff like that. They talk about the nude community. They talk about like stereotypes of each thing, like the rats and like all these things, wolves and being mindless, like the fox, the sly fox, like everything has a connection to like the real world, and it's not even nuanced. It's all very obvious. But in Shrek, which we'll talk about because I have so many points. But Shrek has more like subtle nuances of the things that Zootopia talks about in regards to people of color in society. And since we're Black, it's going to be Black focused. So we're going to talk about Black people, but just acknowledging that other communities of color also experience similar things related to social injustice and stuff like that. But first question, did Shrek walk so Zootopia could run?
I feel like they're two different movies. Like if you like, so there's like in Shrek, I see that as more of a parody, while Zootopia was more of like
A social commentary.
yeah, social commentary, and where it's like in Shrek they had like jokes, you know, and in this it was like it's just boom in your face on the nose in Zootopia. And so, like, I feel like there's a difference, but I do see where you're coming from. I do think that movies like Shrek have paved the way for movies like Zootopia, and then other animal movies like even Madagascar. I don't remember which one came first, Madagascar.
I think Shrek came first.
I think so
Probably,
too.
yeah.
Like Shrek came out in 2002, and Madagascar came in like 2006 or something. But yeah, I think so. Yeah, right.
I remember
Old,
first
right?
Madagascar coming out.
Are they both? Because I know.
DreamWorks, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with ATD, but like yeah, like I feel like there are probably like there are movies that like had that setup or whatever. I think Shrek might have been the first movie to have like that little like talking animal type deal. Besides like old Disney
Using
movies and
that to
shit.
comment on social issues.
Yeah. So, but other than that, like I think on the point that you're talking about, like or what we're trying to get into, it seems like I feel like those are two different movies. Even I don't see the connection between them. At least not right now. Sure.
I got you. Thoughts? No?
No
All
thoughts? Yeah, none.
All right, let's get into it. So, stemming from a conversation about how Black people are characterized as animals in a lot of movies. So, some of the movies that we've talked about, that we'll talk about now, is Shrek, is the main one. But then also Princess and the Frog, the main characters were Black or people of color, and they were frogs the whole movie. What's another movie? The Spy, is that what it's called?
Spy Birds.
Spy Birds, something like that,
Will
with
Smith and
Will
Tom
Smith
Holland.
and Tom Holland. Birds the entire time. Like anytime a Black character shows up in a movie, they spend their time as an animal, in an animal, or characterized
Just not being Black.
yeah, basically. Even Soul, which I love this movie, but even Soul, the Black character spends time in an animal. But what I appreciate about Soul is that there's other Black characters and it's still Black centered. Even though like Disney is never perfect and it always has questionable things with every movie, especially the cultural representational movies, but it's better than what
They're
we've
getting
seen
better.
before. Yeah, so I appreciate the progress. Still problematic, but clearly progressing.
Yeah, for some reason they just can't get Black people right.
Yeah.
And like with Princess and the Frog, like that's always like that's something that's been talked about a lot now, but that used to be an unpopular opinion a few years ago. Like even just a few years ago until like people started talking about it on like Twitter and all that. Like
And breaking it down. Because
Breaking
now I
it
can
down.
sway with it.
Yeah, but like you bring this up a few years ago, you know, Black people gonna be mad, like, cause that was all we had. It's
Yeah.
like, how are you gonna just shit on
Yeah.
all we had at the time?
Exactly.
But now that like we actually see a pattern, it's just like, damn, like they really not like they're trying, but really it's like it's performative. I see it. as.
Yeah.
And that's why with like Soul, like I like Soul a lot too. It's a very good movie, but shit, like when I watched it, I couldn't help but like have this nigga's comment in my head about like he ain't Black the whole time, bro. They changed him for like to a whole nother thing.
He was
whether
a
it be
soul
disembodied
character or a cat.
for the entire.
And then they put
80% of
a
the movie.
white woman in his body.
Yeah.
And they addressed it.
They
They were
did.
like, I'm specifically a white woman because it annoys you or whatever. Like, they addressed the fact that it was a white little soul body. Yeah. I think my thing about Soul that I appreciate, why I like the movie so much and can get past the fact that he spends his time in a cat, is because it talks about, like, more spiritual stuff, which I really appreciated because I see how, like, all that kind of stuff is avoided sometimes in Black spaces. So I really just appreciated that it was Black people, and I was talking about like music, which we're so connected to, and like the spirituality and the soulness of like people. So that's why I can get past it, but yeah, still problematic. So anyways, I got notes, y'all. I got notes on notes on notes about Shrek.
This is gonna be a long day.
We're gonna talk about this tomorrow. So first question, do y'all think Shrek is black?
Shrek?
Yeah.
The Scottish ogre?
Yeah.
No.
Like, do you think he represents blackness?
I don't want to say yes.
I wouldn't say yes, but like I do see like he represents the minority, and like I wouldn't say the black minority because like what was that one scene in Shrek 2 where it was like the police brutality scene? That was not like that was on purpose.
Oh, the catnip and everything said somehow I swear.
Yeah. Like so they're like I do feel like the magical characters represent minorities. I don't think they all represent black people, but like and this is in like a few different kinds of movies where it's like they like represent the broad minority but not always like black. Cuz like you can look at like say like anime and be like, well, this character is clearly black, like not all the time, but they do represent something similar, like a minority,
like the
Piccolo?
tropes.
Exactly like Piccolo actually.
Yeah.
Piccolo was for sure black. They did him dirty.
Yeah.
So I'll hear your argument for why Shrek is black though.
It's not necessarily that he's black. I can relate to the Fiona aspect of it. So then Shrek to me is like black. Again, black centered. I live in a black body. So my lens is through blackness, and I can't speak to other cultural experiences. So I can see where this scene is representational of something that's happened in black culture specifically. I'm not as well educated as I would like to be on other cultural situations, so I can't speak to, oh yeah, other minoritized groups have gone through something similar. I can like kind of, I'll get to another one later. That is a good example kind of like how, yes, this is clearly something the black community has gone through, but I can see how it applies to other certain communities. But I know the most about blackness than I do being Asian Pacific Islander, than I do Latinx, than I do the other stuff. So I can speak to that, so that's how I see it. But I do agree, because there's what I was saying earlier, is that there's no people of color in Shrek. And then like all the fairy tale characters, the things that they go through, their experience that they go through is very people of color related. And there's never a drawn character of like a person of color, unless it's like the ugly sister, the ugly stepsister, which I don't know if that's a person of color or if it's a drag queen or a cross-dresser.
That might be an issue. That's the only person of color.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a whole other social issue topic, because that has to do with like gender identity and stuff like that, but we'll just focus on race for this conversation.
I have a question that might go off topic for a second, but it's still on topic. So, like, what do you think about, like, let me explain the context. Like, so in world building, like Lord of the Rings, right? In Lord of the Rings, you watch like all the movies, there's no black people, no people of color anywhere. And then like this new Lord of the Rings show is coming out, and yeah, it's like it's gonna be on Amazon. I think it's gonna be pretty good. But like in that,
just plug Amazon.
Sponsor us.
I like Lord of the Rings.
Me
So
too.
if like so in this show they're adding black people and all that. So like and like
But how?
I feel like exactly.
Yeah.
Like is it just like trying to please the crowd?
Yeah.
Or was it like, you know, a creative decision, like they're trying to say black people have always been there, when like, you know, by evidence they haven't.
Yeah.
So like, how do you feel about them, like kind of just going back and changing it just for it? Like, because it's good for representation, but it's also, it feels, again, performative, because like they're adding in black people to something that like has never had, it's never had black people.
Yeah.
Said this might be a slightly hot take a little bit, but it's like if you already like, we should be progressive in everything, all that, absolutely. Black people need to be in more movie roles, black people need to be in more commercials, like whatever. However, if you already made that decision,
Yeah, you might as well not.
yeah, bro, just
Right.
shoot, like be the bad studio or
I
whatever.
thought you were saying something else for a minute. I was like, whoa, I made the decision of being in this video as a black person. Then you deserve like whoa.
No.
What are you saying? I was about to
No, I feel like if it never had black people in it, you might as well just keep them out.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
because it's like
And
in
then create a whole new
That's like the
franchise
thing
or
with
some
Marvel
shit.
characters. Like, don't make a character who's supposed to be white clearly black just to appease people.
same
Like
as
who?
in.
same thing, vice versa.
Who is Marvel supposed to be?
Like when they just put out a movie, not Marvel specifically, but like with superheroes just in general, they have put black people, or like Ariel. She's
How they were
black.
gonna make it, yeah.
Ariel is white, or whatever Ariel is. Like, don't, like, it's clearly...
I feel like characters like that, I'm
like
cool with like swapping out.
Nah,
Yeah, like-
because also
Ariel,
like
that was
Disney,
one movie.
yeah, but Disney princesses, even though they're white skinned, they're actually like Anna and Elsa are Danish or something. So like they're not actually white, and it does have cultural elements to it.
Yeah.
So just because black communities want black people in more movies doesn't mean you would put a black person in a Danish person's role. You know what I mean? Like it's the same problem of putting a white person in a black person's role. Like it's not.
But
Like there are black superhero characters, so make those movies. Don't just put black people in spaces because we want it, even though the character doesn't culturally or traditionally hold blackness. You
I
know what
agree.
mean?
I think like because there's a movie coming out or that's been announced. Like Warner Brothers always like kind of drops the bag on their announcements, but like they said they're going to make a Black Superman movie, and
say that.
and then like there's a bunch of stuff like calling for a Black James Bond.
What?
Like why not just make like their own characters
Yeah.
like, black instead
Yeah.
of like tokenizing these
Right.
black these characters as black.
Yeah, although
Spider-Man is
the
cool. I mean, I like
Spider-Verse,
how they do that
I
because
thought
that's
that was
like
cool.
in that they're like
There's different.
They-
there's
Oh, yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
yeah. They made it make sense in that they didn't just
Yeah.
replace Peter Parker.
If they
in
did
that.
a live action of Spider-Verse and he all of a sudden was black, I think that would be problematic.
Not if he came in as Miles Morales.
That's true.
That's different. Though.
Mhm.
Like, if he
Yeah,
came as
'cause
Peter
it's-
Parker,
it's
Peter Parker.
different.
Yeah, because if Peter
Yeah.
Parker
Yeah.
came out like it just popped up as black,
Yeah.
then I wouldn't even appreciate that because like
Mhm.
there are other characters that deserve that
Exactly.
space.
But so like kind of going back onto the Ariel portion or whatever, right?
Mhm.
So like your point with Anna and Elsa, those two things, like it's important to the story or whatever
Mhm.
that they are Danish or whatever in the place that they're in, because like that's story building, that's like setting building and everything.
Mhm.
It's important that Peter Parker is white just because I don't know, just like because of history or whatever, like like what Marvel has built itself on or whatever. Like shoot, at the same time, it's important that the Black Panther is black, XYZ. I feel like with stuff with Ariel though, it's like it doesn't change the story.
Yeah, her character's
if
very
she's
vague.
white or black.
It would
Like-
be another black person as an animal, though. She's a fish.
If you want to see like,
Shit.
So I mean, it's
That's a
all.
very
Okay.
different take.
That was a good. That was
Oh.
that was a solid.
I was not thinking on that level.
I mean, because
But,
look,
Shit.
Ariel is one of the most popular Disney princesses.
Mhm.
It's not like she's one of the least popular, so they're putting a black character as Ariel.
Mhm.
Because if they wanted to do that, they would have like who's like one of the least popular Disney princesses.
Said you don't know him.
Pretty popular.
Yeah.
I feel
The
like
one in the pink
Cinderella
dress.
isn't popular anymore.
You're talking about
Sleeping Beauty, Aurora.
not sleeping
Beauty.
dress, not
No.
Tangled.
No, no.
Is-
Rapunzel?
Oh,
Is it Rapunzel? I think it's
Rapunzel,
Rapunzel.
yeah.
Yeah.
Tangled,
Yeah,
yeah.
Tangled.
I
Yeah.
I mean, I
don't
guess
remember
like
the
if they
thing
did
about
that, then
Aurora.
yeah, I could. Because they like if you guys saw that show Once Upon a Time,
Mm,
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they made Rapunzel black in that,
Mhm.
and that was like an interesting
This
choice.
is like
Yeah.
I
There's
didn't-
also a commercial out right now for fashion or something, and she's black, which is
Oh.
it's funny.
kind of talking
It's
about
shopping.
commercials. My fault. Were you?
It's shopping. No, go ahead.
Kind of talking about commercials. Since we talk about like black people replacing white people, is kind of what the conversation has shifted into. Y'all know like the Sonic commercials with like the two dudes or whatever in the
Yeah.
car,
Yeah.
Mm.
and they like have banter and shit, and
Yeah.
then whatever.
Mhm.
They replaced it with the black family, and I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
good, but
Why?
I don't know. Like, it's like, dang, bro.
Yeah.
I know, like, progression and stuff. Even with Jake from State Farm. Like, Jake from State Farm or whatever
Jake
was like...
from State Farm
like,
can stay.
Yeah, no, I like him as Jake.
He can stay.
Yeah.
I do, too. But it's
Yes.
just like... But it feels like they just chose him because
Well, yeah,
he was
a lot
black.
of it is
You feel
performative.
me?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're
But
because
also,
they're black. And I'm like, ah.
performative action, like, even though it's like obvious that it's performative, but like oversaturating it and like just overdoing it is better in the long run, because then you're more like used to seeing black characters
Normalized.
just normalize it.
Yeah.
And like, so I don't see a problem with like most of it, but then there's somewhere it's like really on the nose. It's like, okay, you're obviously doing.
Clearly here because
Yeah.
you're black.
Mhm.
Okay.
Do y'all think?
Oh, go ahead.
Do y'all think Black Panther was performative?
It's been
No.
around though.
They've
hasn't it?
announced that pretty early, so like they didn't
Like-
do it just because of the times. Like they announced that since they had like Avengers coming out,
Okay.
like
I hear you.
they had plans for that. It was supposed to come out in like 2016.
So speaking of Black Panther, this is a little off topic. I ain't gonna hold you.
So I've been going off topic.
Yeah.
For
This is,
real.
I
That's
have
okay,
a confession to make. When I first watched Black Panther, I was in the theater. I fell asleep. I felt so disrespectful to the community. I said, "Damn, bro." I took a nap.
Stop about them movies, man.
They
Yeah,
said,
bro. Like, I felt so bad. I
The
said, "Oh
concierge watching you over
no."
here.
Said shit. I looked. I woke
You
up.
paid $14 to go take a nap and
Dog, I felt so bad. Like I woke up a little bit. I saw like a black person shaking their head at me. I said, "Doug, I'm sorry, bro. I'm tired." I think to this
I've only
day I
fallen
watched the full
asleep.
Black
They
Panther
say,
movie.
Killmonger, come get this.
Bro, I felt so bad.
I've only fallen asleep in the theater a few times. Like once when I was watching the first Chronicles of Narnia, and then when I was watching, I know, like I did, yeah, back in like what was it, 2000,
Something.
early 2000,
Yeah.
and like I remember seeing that I was asleep, and then like the second or like the only other time was when I was in watching Lego Batman, the Lego Batman, because it was because it was so busy on screen, it just made me fall asleep. I couldn't pay attention to all of it.
It was too much.
What was you
Yeah.
gonna say?
I was just gonna say, do y'all bring your own snacks to the movie?
Yeah.
You talking about movie theaters now?
I could go for the
Nice.
popcorn. I go
I buy
for
it.
the popcorn. That's the only reason I go to the movie theater.
I sometimes do. I started out of nowhere ever since I got money. Them $3 really helped out. But ever since I got money, you feel me? You don't gotta tell them that. Ever since I got money, right? I've been able to buy like snacks, candies, popcorn, and drinks at the movie theater.
That's
been
$1,
nice.
Dropping
$2,
bands,
$3.
Dropping
That's
bands,
each of these
yeah.
dollars.
Nah,
spent.
cap, bro. That's like $20 right
I
there, bro.
mean,
Yeah, movie
yeah.
theater. Maybe you
I
are
always
bringing
make it a
that
thing
shit.
to always bring food in the movie theater.
Mm.
And
I used to, but I
So you
didn't
stay
care.
awake?
every time. I told you I fell asleep in the movies twice.
And I go to the
When I
movies
was-
like every week.
I'm weak.
But yeah.
I was gonna say earlier to your thing, because I was watching Game of Thrones and I was like, y'all made up an entire world and still had black people, brown people as slaves.
Oh
No.
With a white
Have you seen it all the
savior.
way through?
The entire Game of
Because if you're
Thrones,
talking about the Dothraki,
the
then
Khaleesi is white. She is a white
there are other black
savior.
people though. They're not the only
But
black
that's what
people.
I'm saying. The only people who were slaves were like brown people.
Okay, I can
like
see
that.
that.
No.
I can
Because
get
that
you with
one
that.
scene where she's standing and they're like Khaleesi.
How are they
Khaleesi."
slaves?
They're
They're
all
loyal servants.
brown.
They're loyal. How are they slaves?
She is the freer of
gosh.
slaves. That is in her
Oh, you're talking
title.
about. I thought you were talking about the Dothraki.
I'm talking about.
Because if you're talking about that,
I'm talking
that
about
has,
the dragon lady. I don't remember her name.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sorry,
it was
Emily.
fucked up.
What's her
But
name?
they made it-
Emil,
The one in
Emily?
Where
the
it was
dress.
it made it like where it was like a Western and then an Eastern thing. Because you know in the main storyline they're in like the West.
Yeah.
And then all the brown people come from like the East.
Yeah.
And like that's where they had all the. I mean, it's kind of based in real life in a way,
Yeah.
but like I can see where it's
you
kind of
could have made it. It wasn't mixed. Like that one scene is imprinted in my mind. It wasn't a array of color. It was all dark people. I was like, okay, y'all made up a whole world just to have it the same.
I mean, the white savior complex is strong. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking
They
of,
could've-
going back to Shrek. Okay, so we talked about Shrek possibly being black or a minoritized character. Speaking of white saviors, do y'all think the fairy godmother and her godson represent a white savior in the movie?
For sure.
Said there was this.
I just think that they do. Once you brought that up, I was just like, yeah, I'm with it. I don't have any evidence. I'm not gonna lie. Well, actually, you know what? No, let's take it back for a minute because
I know.
because I'm thinking about it. In terms of her being a white savior, she saved the king, right? Because he was a frog at first, and then
No.
no.
Oh,
What happened?
I think
what
I have
happened
to
with
contextualize this question. So my thing about Fiona is that she's probably
her?
biracial.
No.
If she's representational.
Well,
And
she's
this is why. So again, I was watching this high, so all of these thoughts are high thoughts, but genuine questions. So Fiona is cursed, and if you look at being brown and dark skinned in biblical sense, very historically biblical sense, being black is a curse. If you are black, it means you've been marked by God for being a sinner or something like that. I'm not religious, don't quote me on that, but I do know for a fact that being brown-skinned is a curse in a historical biblical sense. So, Fiona being cursed, if being an ogre or being a person of a fairy tale is a minoritized race, and then her family is white, she's a princess, she's white when she's not cursed, she is balancing day and night, whiteness and her coloredness. So you have that interplay. And her dad is also probably white passing, but of whatever race, because he's a frog. He turns into a frog. So he, like Fiona, is also an animal, but the mother never turns into anything. So with grandparents, specifically, this was my thought process, with grandparents, when they have grandbabies of color, sometimes in certain households, they'll really influence like the whiteness, like they'll really be holding on to the whiteness, especially if you are white passing. And so they'll push you towards that, because if they're grandparents who were growing up at the end of segregation or during segregation, they know what it's like to be treated like a black person. They don't know what it's like, but they've seen how it is, and they also probably internalize a lot of that hatred, racism that you see in older white communities. And so this was my thought process of why the fairy godmother and godson were kind of white saviors to Fiona specifically, because Fiona is biracial and they're trying to save her from her blackness, since her blackness or her person of coloredness is a curse.
So
And then it would continue the white line if she was married, if she married a white man. And then the dad, that's why she doesn't like the dad, because he's white passing and she knows that he comes from a history of people of color. It's a whole.
No.
It's a whole.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, I'll go say, if you are watching right now and you hide,
If you're still
Man.
following, thank
Like,
you.
shoot,
If you're
you probably
You
not,
tripped up.
I'm
shoot.
so sorry.
I'm not gonna lie. I've only seen the first movie and then some of the second.
so basically
None of
what
the
happens,
rest.
I got you.
So
So
I-
what
I'm
happens,
confused on the
right?
characters.
Oh,
So what
okay,
happens,
okay.
right, is that TLDR, right? Like, too long didn't read, like, to make a long story short. In the second movie or whatever, fairy godmother kind of comes up and says, "Hey, yo," correct me if I'm wrong, right? But I'm pretty sure fairy godmother comes up and says, "Hey, yo, I'll take away this ogre side of you for a fee, whatever the fee was, whatever
Yeah.
that curse
She has to
was."
marry
Oh, she has to marry Prince
Yeah.
Charming. Yeah, if you marry Prince
Or
Charming,
her
I'll take
true
away
love.
her
this.
true love.
Right,
She's
yeah.
trying to
Yeah,
make
break
Prince
it.
Charming the true love to get rid of the blackness.
Right, and that she's comparing the ogre side to, like, you know, being
Of
of like being mixed or whatever. So she's saying that the fairy godmother is trying to quote unquote save her from her blackness. We're gonna call it blackness for right now.
Yeah.
Trying to save her from her blackness by saying, if you marry a white man, I will take away the part of you that you don't like, which is the ogre side.
Basically, because
Which is
in the
wild.
second movie they meet
Very
the
wild.
family.
I hear you.
Shrek and Fiona are staying at the castle, and they meet her mother,
The one where he became
Holy
human
shit.
for a
her
second.
father.
Bro, I'm here now.
Okay.
because because that's what Shrek
the-
does too. That's what Shrek does too. Shrek makes, if we're treating like the ogre as being a person of color or whatever, right? Then Shrek did the same thing. Like, it's a commentary on, like, people who are fully black, people who are fully minority or whatever, saying, damn, I really want that white side or whatever. I want to be more relatable to her white side or whatever.
Wow.
So I want to be a white man. You feel me? I want to lose what I have or whatever, how I was born. I'll do anything for it so I can tap into that white. Cause I'm there. I'm here. I got it. Shit. That's crazy.
You guys don't think at all that could be just like a big reach of some sort?
It could
Maybe.
be, but it feels.
But shut up.
Here's my other thing.
Like, my head hurts, bro.
No.
A lot.
Okay, I'm
All we do is reach.
I'm gonna drop one more thing. Because I was talking about the Atlantic slave trade, and that is a reach in this scenario. But in the first movie, they're rounding up all of the
fairy tale creatures,
but they move them, they displace them, so they don't
gentrify them to some
yeah,
degree.
they don't. Because when I was
gentrified the castle.
But wait, when they were collecting them, my first thought was, oh, this is the Atlantic slave trade because they're putting them in cages, and like the mother bear when she turned in the carpet. And the baby was crying at the end of the, like, bro. But then I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. They moved them. And that's kind of like gentrification, but also the Great Migration, where all those people were displaced, but also moved. Like, it wasn't, they moved because they had to, and not so much because, oh, yeah, we just want to go live in the North. Like, it was more of a have to. And so.
If anything, wouldn't it be more like colonization though, like the colonization of America, because the castle wasn't started there or whatever, right? Like originally there was all these native minority people just kicking it there. Then Lord Farquaad came in, built a castle, and said kick everybody out. That's America, cuz.
That's right,
bro.
Okay, then.
Western civilization.
That's all they.
So for the fourth movie, go ahead. You're gonna say something.
I wasn't gonna say nothing.
Okay, for the fourth movie, right? The final chapter or something, not the third, but. The
What's
fourth
Rumpelstiltskin? Which one is
Rumpelstiltskin, thank you.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
When they have the babies, I get 3 and 4 mixed up all the time.
No, you're
At
fine,
that point,
fine.
they're in too deep in their own lore, and they're like just kind of putting their own.
Yeah, I think they're just fucking around.
I think they are just fucking around.
But really? No
because
representation?
then we also there's that community of ogres, which also, again, speaking to people of color, being the only person of color in a space, Shrek and Fiona were the only ogres in the entire few movies.
Yeah.
And then in whatever 3 or 4, where Fiona forgets who Shrek is, that's an entire community, and she really embraces her person of colorness because she's in that community. So they're also, because they're like warriors and they're still like dirty, like they're a community, but they're still animalistic and savage kind of, because they're not, like, they clearly have a civilization, but they're not living in like houses, they're living in caves and stuff. So it's still like, yes, this community is a community and they're civilized, but it's not a castle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So. And
then kind of off the back end of that. So like, this is a different take on the same subject, right? So they go back in. They don't go back in time, basically, but they go to an alternate reality where basically their people didn't get wiped out, right? Their people didn't get wiped out. So Shrek goes in there, or whatever, and learns that he can do like the little nose thing or whatever, the little
horn thing
with his ears.
Yeah.
What if? Follow me on this, right? Okay. So what if, right? That's a commentary on like tapping in with your ancestors, learning shit from them to bring back to the people that you got with you right now. He learned a whole new skill that he had no idea about. Because
y'all own it. I'm enjoying this conversation. You know what I'm saying? I never thought this deep into it, but continue.
You know what's crazy? I think I'm trying to really find out Rumpelstiltskin, right? I think Rumpelstiltskin is the dynamic. Tell me if I'm missing, because I might miss with this. Is the dynamic between poor white folks and
he's like
us.
the buy-in.
What do you mean?
He's like the buy-in, like how like Trump won his campaign for a lot of stupid reasons. But like one of the main things that politicians like that have done is create like the Black Welfare Queen. They've talked about,
he's a politician.
Like they it's the buy-in to white supremacy that white people don't actually benefit from. Like poor white people, which is a lot of white people in the United States, don't actually benefit from. So if you're trying to compare it in that way, I think it would be like the buy-in that people have.
Okay, boom. I won't compare it to that. I will compare it to I was gonna say the government at some point, because what is it that he does? Because remember when he makes the deal with Shrek, and his whole life makes a 180 to where he's no longer a bum, he's not in the trailer park anymore, he's now a king, and he's now the dictator of Far, Far Away. That could be the representation of the government working off of black people's back to be able to make said kingdom to some degree. You feel me? Because it could represent how America was down in the dirt at some point, but then made a deal. Nigga, come on. Was down in the dirt at some point, but then made the right deal with black people, or made
oh my God, bro!
made the right deal with come on,
look at the deal that he made. Do you want to go?
I don't know, cause I don't know if my shit gonna relate to it. But this is what you made me think of. So like when cause you said like he was like a bum at first type shit. Okay, so like back in the day, like with like white people that were kind of like on the poor side, if they took in the slave,
Pilgrims.
If they took in the slave,
Not the
not the Pilgrims. I thought it was gonna hit.
if they took in the slave, then you know what I'm saying. If you had a slave, then you're set type shit. That's what I was thinking of. But
Okay.
how'd you relate that?
My fault. I was saying. What I was thinking about.
Yeah, I was just guessing.
Back to the natives again. The natives one more time, because Rumpelstiltskin, the deal that Rumpelstiltskin made with Shrek was like, hey yo, if you give me one day. If you give me one random day that you're not gonna care about or whatever, I'll let you have your whole.
What day was it?
Right, and he took the most important day to him or whatever, right? The day that he was born. So look, back to the natives or whatever, right? The white man came into the natives and said, hey yo, let me just take one little piece of your land with something that you don't care about or whatever. Took the most important part of it, the part where they probably like settled and shit like that, and then straight up like fucked up their whole shit to make a kingdom on top of it.
That's
how I related that.
Look at that, and also
that's more
think
of a
of
stretch,
it.
but I'm just saying.
Think of it with this way: Shrek's relation to his ancestors, like you said before, right? Before originally, he's just like, I just grew up with my dad, because he was always talking about his dad in the third one, but he was that third or fourth. Regardless, he would always talk about his dad, right? And that was just the only basis of being an ogre, right? But as soon as within this different dimension, he's starting to understand himself. Daddy issues. That could be its own thing. I did not relate to that. But whoa.
Shrek has daddy issues next episode.
That threw me off. But like you were talking about ancestors, to click in. Whoa, I messed it up for a minute.
Sorry.
That you're fine because you But his relation, when he got in tune with his ancestors, that's when he realized his strength. Yada yada this, yada yada that, right?
And Fiona embraced her blackness.
And Fiona embraced her.
Yeah. And that's why I said I relate, because when we're in the office, I'm like, yeah, I'm black. But then when I go into other spaces, I'm like, ooh, I'm black.
That's deep.
You know what I mean?
Dog.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Also, back to the native thing, I don't remember what the story was. You know what? Let me stop talking about things without knowing the names so y'all can look it up. But there is a very famous story of the Native American who spoke English and like helped navigate.
I don't want to say. I think Raging Bull.
What was it? I was gonna say Sacagawea.
No.
Not
That was just the one who
No.
was like
Navigate what?
in the Thanksgiving
Translation.
story.
Yes, and he was like navigating
What's his name?
both, and then he like kind of undermined the Native Americans to get like benefits, and
From the
then
white
then
folks.
the whole war thing broke out. That's what, because you kept talking about that, and then you're talking about Rumpelstiltskin, and he kind of like plays both sides.
Yeah, he was
to
the
get
dude
what
who was
he wants.
in the Thanksgiving story, or the one like.
Yeah, because we were
Yeah.
talking about it at GPS. That's right. Yeah, that one, which I didn't know. But it
Yeah,
is
it's
a,
interesting.
That's a
well-known
representation.
story in some.
That's a representation of people and how they can do their own community a disservice.
Yeah, we could also say Rumpelstiltskin is like the devil. Like, don't make a deal with the devil, and maybe Shrek in that movie is talking about spirituality.
Interesting.
Haven't seen that movie in a while though, so I won't speak on it.
It's
too
on
much.
Netflix. I just watched it like
Yeah.
3 nights ago.
You know what I was
Yeah,
just
I know.
thinking about? It kind of off topic, but like just something I just thought about. If you've never watched the Shrek movie,
So confused.
you're gonna be confused. Yeah, bro. You never watched the Shrek movie.
Watch. Maybe
Yo,
you'll
yeah.
wanna
Once you watch it,
yeah.
you'll see the representation.
Yeah, bro. Watch
Yeah.
Shrek, and then you
That's-
understand all this. And watch it with the mindset that we just gave you. 'Cause
Yeah.
You're gonna be like,
Because you don't have to
Tell me.
watch it high or like under the influence to get what's been said,
Mhm.
but
That was
being
what brought
under
you
the
to it.
influence, definitely like, yeah. I
That's
was
crazy.
tripping, bro. It was
Because she was
crazy.
deep in it. I was deep in it
I
too,
was
no cap.
deep.
You know, I deeped it like this too. Sorry, this is a different tangent. Of like in the fourth one, where he's just like, dang, he's just cuddled up in his bed and Fiona's sleeping soundly, and their kids are there, but he's just like, dang, this life ain't really it like that, Brody. So he goes to
Imposter
somebody who can take imposter syndrome. You're right. He goes to somebody who can take that away from him, right? And as soon as that they take that away from him, he hits him with, I guess you never appreciate what you have until it's gone, right? Thinking that the grass is greener on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, and his life was completely messed up, and because of that, he had to redeem himself, and now he had to have a battle with the devil to be able to get back to the life that God's already granted him to begin with.
And he's changing himself too.
I'll go say a different take, but I got
he's trying to change himself, and he's not talking to Fiona about it. I feel like that also goes into like relationships and communication stuff, because he doesn't talk to her, even though she's completely content. He has this mindset, so much of self-doubt and so much of self-hatred, internalized hate, that like he, as a man, doesn't even feel comfortable to bring it up to his wife. So much so that he goes and makes a mistake that almost destroyed everything. You know what I mean?
I'll go say, same topic, different take. So he's in bed or whatever, right, with his happy family and with his happy life and his wife right next to him, curled up, and he's just thinking to himself, damn, I can be with other women right now. So you feel me? And he's just like, oh, man. So he goes up, like, now we're thinking of Rumpelstiltskin as, like, another woman. You feel me? So, like, he goes out to another woman, messes up his whole life or whatever, and he just thinks to himself, dang, you never know what you have until you lost it or whatever. Now he's out here trying to battle with her and, like, whatever, to try to, like, get back to his family. Then he goes back to his family talking about, ooh, I'm sorry. He's a bum dad.
Ooh.
That's what I'm trying to say. We can talk about Shrek all day.
That's why I said daddy issues.
We talk about Shrek.
Like, it's a joke that, like, especially with the light skins, dad who, you know, that's why I said daddy issues.
Damn,
bro, we talk about Shrek all day, bro.
That was the point. So you're welcome. It's so interesting.
Said you lost me in the first half, but you got me in the second. I'm here.
Is it that bad that the representation of, I guess,
and he's a black man. Oh my
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. So
I'm sorry,
is it that bad that they deeply what was I gonna say? That they deeply displayed the black community or black experience as not a black person, but as another character.
Yeah.
You feel me?
I get you. I think that goes to what ATD was talking about, though, of like, it's a parody rather than it's obvious. Like, Zootopia is very obvious and very, like, teach your kids this lesson, whereas Shrek is...
All right, man. So you know how... So we've had a conversation in the past, whatever this little group has had a conversation in the past about how DreamWorks is... You know, they don't make movies for black people, but like they're black, like their movies are like, you know,
about
some
black
of their movies.
Yeah, like some of them. Yeah,
not all for sure. I wouldn't involve like what's one, How to Train Your Dragon that much.
Although that's
like
gas.
Good movie, but it's not the same as like
it.
a Madagascar or a Spirit. You know,
Yeah. So
Spirit was gas, by the way.
Well, no, because they were talking about. Well, I guess not, because it's more about dragons. But they did. They definitely had culture in there. So
but yeah. So we talk about that sometimes. I was like, DreamWorks sometimes makes movies for like black people, or it feels like it, right? So what if instead of like this is about to be very, very down. Even like this is a stretch for sure. But what if they was like they're trying to talk to black kids or whatever, right? And they knew that if they put a black they knew that like if they did this as bluntly as they could or whatever, kids ain't gonna listen or whatever. But they were trying to teach the black community something or whatever, right? And they did. How we gonna get their attention? Something silly, an ogre. And when they get older, they're gonna understand that this ogre.
I think it was more towards the adults.
It's that deep.
It's like SpongeBob.
It's always that deep.
Digestible for kids, but it's really for adults. You know what I mean?
I see it as like if we made a movie about black people and had the same narrative, same all day, people wouldn't really pay attention. But like when you like sneak it into a fun narrative and like a more creative plot, like creative or like fun characters, then like you're not going to understand like what exactly they're saying, but you're gonna get the lessons that they're trying to teach.
Does that make it okay?
I think so, because at the end of the day, you're still learning the lesson.
Yeah, and it wasn't harmful in any way. Like they're definitely.
You look like you got something to say about it.
No, I was just asking, like, did y'all think that it made it okay? Like, I don't think it makes it okay just because we learned a lesson from it. But if you got
but if that's what it takes for people to actually watch it, because like, again, like if they were all black people and a dude named Shrek was like a black man, they had same everything.
People wouldn't watch it.
Yeah, no one would watch
So-
it.
Or
so
they
it's-
would, but
Or
that's what
only
you
black
see
people
every
would watch
day, and
it.
you clearly aren't learning anything from everyday life. So you gotta
manipulate
detach yourself from everyday life to understand everyday life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What was your take?
I was gonna say another good example of representation. This can be a hit or miss. Bear with me. Is Lion King.
Okay.
Go.
Okay, so Lion King, right?
Lion King was just Hamlet, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, basically.
White
Said, but go off though.
But-
They had
but
2
what's
black
your
cast
take?
members in the original Lion
Wasn't
King.
Hamlet supposed to be black though?
No, I don't.
There's definitely a
There's
Shakespeare
my take.
individual.
Sorry, bro. I just had to say there
Go
are 2
for it.
black people in Lion King.
Hamlet makes sense though. Now I gotta look at it. Dang. But anyways, right? If it wasn't Hamlet, this is how it'd be, right? So you have Mufasa, right? Mufasa would be the representation of a good black father, and then Scar is just his brother, or just another black person trying to take something.
It's just Scar. It's just Scar. It's just Scar.
Yeah, Scar's just
a hated ass.
All right. So, Pete, let's move to the point where Mufasa dies, right? And Mufasa's over here just screeching.
Spoilers.
Bro, stop.
Mufasa's over here just
Bro, all the
scraping to be
Shrek
able to
just
save himself, and make sure that Simba was okay. He made sure Simba was okay because he saved him, but he got to save himself now, right? And he's over here, brother, I need your help. And Scar says, "Long live the king!"
Great
Right?
movie, by the way. That's what
I
made me like
cried.
that movie so much.
I
I was
cried at that
like,
moment.
The death?
you cried, bro.
I cried.
Sorry, bad take. Sorry to cut you off. But I was like,
He
when I
laughed
first
when
watched that,
Iron
I was like, Scar's a badass. Like, I said, damn.
Oh,
like that's not a whole
he was
new
a
thing.
villain.
I was like, dog,
He the
look,
villain.
it's bad. Like when I was a kid, bro, I was just like, because in my head, I was like, you want to do whatever it takes.
Oh, he a villain.
You different.
And then he blamed it on the kid. He was like, "It's your fault, your
Then he
dad's
ran
dead."
out
I
the
know,
kid,
that's
and he
crazy.
ran the country for like years. I said,
You think
yeah.
Wait, I'm asking a question.
Yeah.
You still think
no.
that's a dope thing?
I don't think that now. But when I first saw it as like a kid, I was
But
just like, I
that's
didn't
my
see the symbolism and
representation,
stuff.
black
My fault.
man. That's what I'm trying to get at, my
Sorry,
brother.
my fault. Go for it.
Another
My bad,
brother
my bad.
trying to get another brother down. You
Black
feel me,
on
my
black
brother?
crime.
Black
No,
on
I'm just
black.
kidding.
Black on black. Don't say that.
But yeah, finish your take. My fault.
We
I think we
don't
gotta end the
subscribe
episode
to
soon.
Black on
But yeah.
Black.
It kind of was centered around. She said with black on black crime. I'm not gonna lie.
Why?
Because it was just him. We're like, his
Okay,
black
that's
brother
fine.
died.
Putting each other down to come back up.
Yeah, that's what I was
That's
getting
what you
at. You feel me? Thank you. Trying to make me look stupid.
Yeah,
My
but
point
when we
is-
talk about black on black crime, it's not real. White people kill white people too. You know what I mean?
Oh, you brought up black on black crime.
That was a joke. I was joking.
And you didn't. We weren't saying black on black. We just said one black man take another black man down to come. Like Queen and Slim. It's like same thing.
Okay.
So y'all think I'm gonna bounce back to the Shrek thing. So
So
y'all
To the
think
what?
Shrek.
to the Shrek thing.
To the spear.
Another winner.
Do y'all think? So
You
y'all
choose
think
again.
they did that? If they did it intentionally, you think like
Bro, I need to know who the writers are for it.
exactly? So do y'all think that they were in our favor?
I mean, because look, this is
the way they did it was perfect.
at the
bro.
time.
Type shit.
This was at
That's
around the
about
same
it.
time they were also making like Madagascar, which I consider a black comedy, just because of like the attitude, the characters, the jokes,
So was it
interactions.
Eddie?
Yeah, it was Chris Rock.
Chris Rock was.
And they put Bernie Mac in the second one. And they went to Africa. And, like, that was, like, like, it's just that kind of stuff. DreamWorks was kind of in their bag. And they made Spirit. Spirit was a fire movie.
Alright, bro.
Yeah.
We get it. You like Spirit so much.
You
Bro,
know
I'm
what
just gonna
though?
pick
Yeah, throw that shit back out there. I'm just playing.
Madagascar makes a lot of sense because it's like, what's the difference between being a slave and being enslaved? Like, Alex was very performative, and he was
He was
physically
jiving.
trapped, but even when he wasn't physically in a cage, he was still
Mentally
mentally
in a cage.
for a long time, and then he went back to his roots, and he got to break free.
In Africa.
This is the first time I've actually.
Oh
thought
my
about this shit like
gosh.
this, bro.
Next time we'll talk about Madagascar, bro. We're gonna make
Catch
this
the
a
Straightwater
series.
podcast in
My
Africa
goodness.
next
And to
week.
answer your
That
question,
trip doesn't
I searched it
happen.
up. There are no black writers that wrote Shrek.
So
I mean,
I'm
it's
not
not even about
surprised.
just
white
black
people
writers,
that-
but it's like,
if y'all
what are their intentions? What else
Yeah,
are they
yeah.
written, you know?
I agree, yeah. All right, well, I think we only got so much time left. I think we might want to.
Yeah, that was good.
Thank you.
All right, cool. Who wants to take us out?
Damn.
I got it. Can I do it?
Yeah.
Go for it.
That's cool. Let's go watch
Alright.
Shrek.
Appreciate you, everybody. This has been the Straight Water Podcast. Go ahead and follow us on all social media platforms. It's your boy, the King of Day.
Your girl, Jada P.
Rambo.
It's your man Jay 3 times.
I'm ATD or Antonio the Don.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you for watching this episode. Please find us on Straight Water on all streaming platforms, social media, and YouTube.
And if you want to watch us live again, tap into the R Network, and you will see us live every week.
Tap in, tap
Yeah,
in, tap in,
tap
tap
in.
Thank
Tap
y'all.
in.
Bye.
You.
Tap in.
Oh.